Greetings from the past, my fellow time travelers, and welcome back to another episode of The Ladder. My name is Ty, and, well, we're going to see what Becca's going to do. On the other hand, there's Ash. His message doesn't exactly imply he's going to wait, or he's expecting me to be there, but there are matters I hope to discuss with him in person, to put it simply. Housewarming party matters. With inviting Isabella out of the question, I only have Zachary and Ashton. Although the former has already made it clear he'll be busy this week, and well, Ashton has been my first choice from the start. Even if he detests attending gatherings like this. It's company that counts. We can be miserable together. But that's the problem, isn't it? He hates them, and it's very likely his answer will be a flat no. I'd rather not hear that. If by some miracle he agrees to it, he'll probably be sulking the whole party. Not really a tough choice when you put it like that. Still. Tough choice, but I have to pick one. I have other things to do. No. I think it wouldn't hurt to go with them. Also because I'm afraid if you'll let Luke alone, that wouldn't be a good thing. Well. Let's see. Oh, nice. In the end, it's my own fondness for Kali that wins out. Chances are, I'll only have to endure his presence for an hour or so. If it lasts more than that, I can make up an excuse, a sudden call from a friend or things to work on. It doesn't seem so bad when I think of the pros and cons. At best, it will be a quiet dinner. At worst, it will be an awkward affair we're both eager to be rid of. I'm leaning more on the later happening. Hoping for the former, of course.
Okay, but only because Kylie asked.
Kylie's face instantly lights up. For the third time today, she tackles me into a hug before pulling away and dragging me by the hand towards the building's exit.
That's alright. I'm sure Tio doesn't mind. He let me pick where we're going to eat. Don't worry, it's just close.
Luke follows closely behind, and perhaps out of some desire to keep the dead air away, I can't resist throwing in a quip.
Keep your distance. You better not do anything funny, you hear?
I'm the one who should keep my distance. May I remind you who approached me first and what you did right after?
Oh, I remember it clearly. But perhaps it's you who needs a reminder. You seem to have never learned your lesson. Care we give it another try? Maybe this time it'll stick.
Maybe this time it'll stick. You think you're scary? I'll show you what's scary.
To my surprise, his tone lacks the usual sardonic note in it, and briefly I pause to stare at him. He quickly shuts his mouth right after and walks ahead of us. All talk and no trousers like the usual, and for the better part of a walk, except for Kylie's exciting chatter, we don't speak. Somehow, I have this strange feeling I'm already getting used to this kind of banter with him. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And amidst this newfound friendship, dare I call that, Ash's message lays forgotten and abandoned in my pocket. Also, I am hoping that Isabella and Ashton are going to have a little chit-chat if I don't go home. Of all the places nearest to the school, Kylie picks this one, and waiting for food to be served is as awkward as I've imagined it would be. Not the bad sort, though. The pleasant kind. Surprisingly, Luke's an okay bloke when he tries. When he tries. So long as you're willing to look past the tactless remarks, or we are not exchanging acerbic quips. It's clear he's making an effort for this to be as fun as possible for the 6-year-old by being chattier, even going as far as laugh when Kylie's stories calls for it. It's an interesting thing to hear from the man. More than once, I catch his frequent cheesed-up expression easing whenever he looks at the girl.
And your friend? Did you make up with her?
Yep. She said she just saw something she didn't like. She didn't accept the jellies, though. She told me to give it to you instead. She knows you like the red ones, too.
Very well. Hand it to me later. I'll bring some of them home. I think your Tia would love to have some.
What a terrible liar. He says he dislikes the idea of having children of his own, but it's easy to see some part of him genuinely wants them. What's stopping him? Once Kylie wanders to the nearby bookshelves after having lost interest in the conversation, however, we both revert back to silence. On our own, we have little to talk about, aside from a few questions about the other here and there. At one point, it does veer on local politics and history. He's surprisingly versed with it that he can hold a decent conversation without throwing a jibe. Nothing too personal is ever mentioned as far though. It's too early for those, and besides, I don't like him enough to speak of every minute detail of my life. Better keep it strictly between the silence and the casual repartee. This whole thing already looks and feels wrong on so many levels. I'm quite sure he feels the same. So, when another bout of silence hits us and becomes too much, I've taken to finding something else to occupy myself. Toying with my mobile, turning it from hand to hand, while we wait for our respective meals. But it will be a complete lie if I say I'm not waiting for some intervention. Something to pull me away from this place. Someone. Ash is probably at Salemwell by this time, working on whatever business he has there. Maybe if I make up an excuse and leave now, I can still catch him?
Cut that out, it's distracting.
I'm sorry. My hand still holding the gadget awkwardly between us, arrested mid-pass by his bored tone. He's been quiet for a long minute now, after complaining about how appealing the tea they are serving here is. Before that, he has whined about how uncomfortable his chair is and tasteless the decorations they have there. Previously to that, he has gripped about how dull the place is compared to the one he frequents on the upper-class sides of the city. Well, I'm sorry for being a bunch of peasants, Your Majesty. Figures he'll lose patience soon, having already grumbled about almost everything his eyes can reach. It's just unfortunate he's turned to me now.
Why don't you just look somewhere else?
I can't. If I turn elsewhere, I might end up looking at the bobfuck right behind us.
Bob, do I even want to ask?
What? I don't want to hear it. If it's coming out of his mouth, it can only be either rude or offensive. Regardless, he continues.
Everything looks good. But have you seen the face? True horror.
What is wrong with you? You know, I frown about this in practice, but that mouth needs to be washed out with a particularly potent soap, preferably by your own mum.
A shame she isn't here,
For whatever reason, that puts an end to the talk right away. He returns to watching his godchild, who has found a particularly interesting picture book and is now poring over it, while I turn back to my mobile. Still, no message. Would it kill him to at least send a message? Check if I were home? Meanwhile, Luke's silence lasts all but 10 seconds.
What is it with the damn mobile? Are you on a curfew?
He's got the imager act down pat, I'll give him that. Seriously, how old is this guy? Has he somewhat been deprived of affection during childhood?
And what is it to you? I don't think it's any of your business what I do with it.
It is my business, all right? 1, I'm the one paying here. 2, I'm being forced to eat dinner in a place this stuffed and noisy.
Oh, poor dude.
Lastly, it's been 10 minutes, the food isn't here, and I'm hungry. What you're doing with the mobile is annoying and distracting, when the least you could do is keep things entertaining while I suffer.
That's your problem? Shouldn't you be more worried about how this entire affair looks to other people?
Oh, I didn't realize this was one. You move fast, Daisy. You could have informed me first, you know. Had I known, I would have taken you someplace nicer. Certainly the kind with better food and plenty of good wine.
Why did I ever think this was a good idea? Did it ever occur to you how inappropriate this might look to everyone?
Why should I care? It's only inappropriate if you make it out to be. Relax. I won't do anything to make your boyfriend angry.
Wow.
He doesn't even need to know we dined out. It'll be our dirty little secret.
He's not my boyfriend.
The words come out with more force than I've intended. By the time I realize my slip-up, his lips are already spread in a sneer. Heat slowly crawls up in my face.
Oh, so there is someone. You're so easy to read.
Briefly, his eyes search my face. I have no idea what he sees, nor do I care to know, but in the next second he barks out a laugh, displaying his amusement without reserve to everyone within earshot. In that moment, I know I've flipped a switch in him somewhere and I've lost my chance to deny his assumptions. Do I even want to know? Isn't that the reason why I've been so focused on my mobile, waiting for another message for him? From? Well, for a reason to dump his awkward meeting to go after him.
Look how mottled you are. And how the nickname makes more sense. Shy Miss Pink and her cute little crush. The color suits you, by the way. It matches the hair.
It's not a crush.
Classic denial. But in reality, you want him to be yours. And your every move is made to make him notice you. In fact, you don't want him to see you with another man in a non-professional capacity. Because he might misinterpret it.
The same thing goes for you, doesn't it? Bloody, yours is even worse. What about your wife? Aren't you concerned she might misinterpret this?
Daisy, just because we tied the knot doesn't mean we have to be joined at the hip at every single opportunity.
Don't be ridiculous. Why else would you marry her if you don't want to be with her for the rest of your lives?
Because, Daisy, she also has other things she can do with her life and friends to spend time with. Granted, I don't like some of them, and I have a few of my own she utterly dislikes. But wifey doesn't have to know my every move. Nor do I hers. Do you know how boring that would be? To be with the same person for all hours of the day. Losing sleep over the mere fact they're not with you? Or putting everything you have aside to please them? To have your whole world revolve around one person?
Aren't you just mistaking that for something else? Unlike you, there are other people here who don't share the same jaded outlook you have. Don't lump everyone together just because it didn't work out for you.
And you, my dear, are unexpectedly naive.
What's so naive about it? If you love each other, wouldn't you want to always see them, be with them? To have them focus solely on you? Maybe you haven't been loved enough.
Oh, it's that kind of thing for you, isn't it? The love is eternal, love is a strong emotion shite. A starry-eyed girl pining for her dashing Prince Charming.
I hate him so much! Oh my god, this guy!
What's next? Romantic confessions of love? A grand wedding on the beach? Dozens of spawns running around in some picturesque home in the suburbs? How quaint.
Wow.
Are you also expecting it's going to be sunshine and rainbows after? A happily ever after? Please.
What? I never once said... and is all of that such a bad thing to hope for?
Woman, I've been married for 7 years, and I'm telling you, it's far from what you have in your pretty red head. Tell me, how long has this song and dance been going for you and your man? Maybe I am mistaken.
Averting my eyes from him is all I managed to do. What does this mere 7 years have compared to the 17 I've had with Ash? It's laughable he thinks those two things are even comparable. Ash and I may have never moved past the boundaries of friendship, like what I'm hoping for years, but what we have isn't something anyone can scoff at. I've always been by his side, endured everything with him. I know him better than anyone. No matter what this man, this complete stranger says, I know there will always be a place for me beside him. And yet...
Come on, Daisy, that shouldn't be too hard. 3, 5, 8, 10, 20.
His words easily seep into my heart like sharp daggers, gradually picking apart everything I've ever been sure of. Despite myself, the doubts resurface and my defenses crumble right in front of my eyes. It's no wonder he sees through me, and as expected, he ridicules it. Laughs. Restrained, low and rumbling, a sharp sound striking the air around us, amidst the murmur of people and the soft notes of the music playing over our heads. His shoulders shake, and when his mirth becomes too much even for him, He reaches up a hand and passes it over his face, as if to hold his glee close to him.
Lordy bullocks, this is just brilliant. Oh, mother, why do I always keep running into these things? This day couldn't get any better. I think I'm gonna need a stiff drink after this.
He dissolves into another peal of laughter, but when it subsides, what he has for me are more words, scaffing each of them. The urge to run from here has never been this strong.
Is everything you said how you plan to act, if that man of yours ever ends up with you? Cling to him? Put him on a bloody pedestal? Let him become the center of your universe? Although with how long this seems to be going on, I think you've already done so. Marriage will just be icing on the top. Like some sort of reward for you, isn't it? For being a good, patient, loyal little girl all this time. Never looking at another man. He must have been having a grand time with someone pining over him this long. I'm a little envious, to be honest. Maybe also a little surprised he hasn't suffocated from all your attention yet.
Wow.
Laugh all about it if you want. It's not like you'll ever understand.
Luke falls silent. The ridicule in him is gone in an instant, and his eyes meet mine, sharp and imposing. A challenge, but I hold it against him with the same intensity. Because if there's something I won't let his opinion trample on, it's this. What does he know? However, he's the first one who looks away, focusing his eyes back to where Kylie is, and for a moment, I believe I've won. Until he draws in a breath and turns back to me. The words he drops next, though hushed, hang heavily in the distance between us.
You're right. I won't. But I do know not to mistake love for obsession, woman. They are not the same thing.
It rattles. Out of everything he said tonight, this is the one thing that twinges my heart. Maybe it's in the manner he delivers it, the lack of conceit in his posture, or an underlying insult in the tone he takes. The remark is not meant to cut, merely to express a simple truth. This time, it's him who holds a gaze against me. Another unspoken challenge, and I realized that, if this happened minutes before, I'd already have an equally searing retort at the tip of my tongue. There's none. But the anger is there, wrenching at my insides, prodding at the uncertainties I've long kept. Isn't it enough? We have the long years we've been together. We have the memories. Whenever he needs me, until other people came in between us, I've always been the one there. That dedication and loyalty should mean something, shouldn't it? I've always been sure of it, and that one day, he'll see it for what it is. In spite of that, in this minute, under this man's scrutiny, my own heart wavers. Well, she'll. Girl. I don't need to answer that. What right do you have? No. Now I struggle to find the words. I need some time to think about that one, because neither of those answers are things I would say in this kind of situation. Because what right do you have is something that is going to insult him for sure. But I don't need to answer that. I don't know. I would choose something in between, like, why do you think that is? Or I would question what he's saying, but not in a mean way. Does that make any sense? I don't know. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe to my channel. If you're already subscribed, click on the notification bell down below so you get notified when I upload my videos. Share this on all your social media, and guys, who is you in the future are back in the letter. High five! That's some chilling music.